Welcome to Soltron. This is the video review for the DX Kishiryu Neptune, which is the Japanese version, and the Mosa Megazord. So basically we'll see who did it better. So I customized this guy, and this is Hasbro's attempt, so we'll see which one of these turned out as a better robot. Alright, here's a 360 of the Japanese version. And the Power Rangers version. Okay, and as far as proportions go, I have to admit I like the US version better. This is a really great looking robot. This guy just looks kind of blocky and pretty outdated compared to this updated version. I think they did a really good job on the design on this guy. And plus the head, I think it's more proportional to the body. It looks a little bit better. I like that this head is smaller, but it's just like sunken in there. It doesn't have the presence that this head has. It's just like lost in the collar. I think this guy's a huge step up, and I'm really impressed. I just got this guy today for like $26. He's the price of like a deluxe Transformers figure, and like that's unbelievable. I can't be bothered to dig out a deluxe that recently came out, but I mean, look at this size comparison. How is that possible? How is this $26 and this is like 25? It doesn't make any sense to me. And the quality on this guy is actually not too bad. This is just baffling. Okay, let's go over my articulation mod. So I put ball joint in the shoulder, of course. So lots of ball joints happening. That shoulder doesn't work as well as this one because the lower jaw doesn't have as much junk that gets in the way. So you can kind of get like this much outward motion. And then he does have an elbow here on a ball joint, so he can get like his basic bicep swivel going. And that bends 90 degrees. And then you can also get kind of a wrist forearm swivel out of that. And then he does have ball jointed waists or hips, so he can kick forward and backwards. He can get a little bit of spread, so he's got like 45 degrees. And he's got full forward kick pretty much, full backward kick, so it gets around his hip skirt. And then he's got ball joint knees, so he can do about 90 degrees on the knee. And then he can do like a knee swivel too. And that's it. I could have given him an ankle, but I kind of lost interest in this figure a while ago. Okay, in the Hasbro version, well, he gets like a head rotation here. So does the Japanese version. But he also has some slight head movement at this ball joint. He'd have more, but this part like blocks it from rotating more. And then he does have like a soft ratchet every 45 degrees in the shoulder. He does have a good amount of outward right there. He does not have bicep swivels, but he does have a forearm swivel, and then he does have one click 90 degrees on the bicep or the elbow. So it's unfortunate about the bicep rotation, but he can get some good poses without it. And then he does have like a couple clicks outward, kind of the same 45 degrees on the hips. And then he's got full forward kick and then a full backward kick. And then he's got 90 degrees on a very difficult soft ratchet. I had to unscrew this a little bit just to give it some, well, just so it wouldn't break off pretty much. And then he does have a thigh swivel. So I think a lot of these are going to break at this swivel just because those knees are so tight. And then he does have ball joint ankles, which is very nice. Okay, and as far as articulation goes, I'm going to give that to the Hasbro version 2. The joints they use are kind of garbage quality, but these ball joints, some of them are a little loose, which is annoying. And then there's just restrictions from the original mold, like this stiff skirt. It just doesn't really lend itself very well to dynamic poses. And this guy's a little bit lighter, so that helps him as well. So he can get some really great dynamic poses. But some things I do want to mention is this elbow joint definitely feels like garbage to me. I've seen on the T-Rex Megazord, I'm pretty sure that these break. So I wouldn't be surprised if I end up having to replace that if I keep this guy. And then this knee joint is these knee joints are just big problems. So the articulation joints in this guy are garbage. These hip joints don't feel great either. They feel kind of fragile, like something's going to snap and just stop working there. But overall, he's pretty fun to pose. And even without the bicep swivels, he's very dynamic. So I really like that. And plus he's got better shoulders than my custom. So got to give credit where it's due. Okay, and let's talk about the quality. So this guy's got some soft, well, people say it's soft plastic, but really it's kind of a rubber. He's got some rubber parts like these fins on the back of the legs, the arms here, and these fins up here. So he's got some stiff rubber parts, or soft plastic, if you want to call it that. Plus this custom trident is a little bit soft and floppy, so not good plastic. But the rest of his plastic is definitely nice and thick, top notch. Very difficult to customize plastic. That's kind of irritating to cut through. Just the old-fashioned heavy-duty kind of plastic you're used to. This guy is definitely like a thinner plastic. He feels pretty heavy, but that's because he's got a lot of rubber parts. So he's got like this same kind of thing. And then his rubber parts, most of them are just a lot softer. Like these fins are just kind of trash. This one's just like permanently bent out of the box. And then this one's a little bit stiffer, so it's about equally stiff as his leg fins. And then this is probably equally stiff as these shoulder fins here. So, but overall, I would say the quality is almost on par. It's not bad. It's just the joints that make up this guy are kind of trash, whereas this guy has nice ratchets from his default build. So definitely the quality goes to the Japanese version. It just feels so much better in hand. And then using these gatai joints, like taking these on and off, feel really good. It's got a very satisfying click to it. Whereas the US version, this feels a little bit mushier. It doesn't feel quite as premium. So it's got a little bit lacking there. So definitely the Japanese version takes it for quality. Let's get these guys ready for transformation. So let's look at the head gimmick of the Japanese version one. So it looks like this. It's a nice solid plastic, great looking knight. And then it's got this little gimmick where you fold it in half and it makes maybe a mosasaur head. It kind of doesn't look like anything. And then you press the button and it opens up. So that's pretty cool. So compared to the US version, I think the head sculpt is actually an improvement. The painting is not as good, but the sculpt looks better. It's got a lot more detail in the face. Then this guy looks a little more generic. And then on the other side, we got to take like the back of this head off. So you got like this extra little piece to lose. And then you can see like these guys, there's no comparison. The Japanese version definitely wins on that. But the US version has a turning head, which is very nice. And he's got a neck joint. So it's hard to compete with that. And then plus the back of his little skull becomes a little Power Ranger. So you can see that these Megazords are actually like 10 stories tall. So that's kind of cool, just to have this little Power Ranger stand in so you can get a size comparison. So yeah, I think it's hard to say. Like definitely the Knight version looks way better on this one. But this version does everything else better. So I definitely like the US version on this too. So anyway, to transform these, you're just going to shut the jaws. I'm going to rotate the head around. Go ahead and take that trident out of his hand. Then you're going to take off the nautiluses. I like to just put them here on these calf armors, get them out of the way. And then you're basically just going to turn the fins down on the feet, kind of get those straightened out. And then the trident is just going to plug in here. So down here, so I had to do a little mod where this shaft collapses in. And then you just plug that into the bottom of the feet. And then when you turn them over, you got most of a Mosasaur already. And you just rotate the arm around so that the little vestigial legs and the fins are facing up. I think a Mosasaur is not actually supposed to have these. I don't know what the point of that is. Oh, I guess that's for the Spinosaurus mode. And then you kind of just orient these however, get those out of the way. But there you go. Here's his Mosasaur mode, which looks pretty good. So it's nice and chunky. He's still got a big gap in the legs here, but if you just ignore that gap, he definitely looks really good. And plus I like his little gimmick of he can have his knight can just ride on his back. So that's really cool. All right, so now we'll do the same for the other version. Same transformation, just close this up. You get a big gap here, so that's a compromise they had to make for the robot mode. And then you're going to do the same thing, take the trident out of the hand, rotate the arms up, go ahead and take these nautiluses off. Just peg them on the side here for storage. Yeah, those clips just feel a little bit mushier. And then you're going to rotate these fins here and then plug the trident into the bottom of the feet. And then rotate the fins up. And then one nice, let's get these straightened out. They kind of look like Gatling guns or cannons or something. There's not much you can do with these. You could fold them up, but they're still kind of annoying and in the way. And then another nice little thing they did is they made these little arms articulated. And there's the US Mosasaur mode. So he's looking pretty good. I think his gaps are a little bit more significant. He looks a little skinnier. His head's definitely smaller and out of proportion. We'll compare this with the Japanese version. You can see actually they're very similar now that I look at them side by side. Yeah, they look almost exactly the same, and so do their nautiluses. There's not much difference here either. These are pretty comparable, except for you get the flat gray plastic as opposed to silver paint on the Japanese version. And I trimmed these out a little bit so it wouldn't just be a big chunk of blue plastic. But they're pretty much the same. One negative of the Japanese version is they have these screw holes, and both of the nautiluses have them on the same side. So one pair of fists always has screw holes showing. All right, and here they are next to each other. You can see the US version has kind of a more muted, like yellowy kind of gold. So it's not as shiny as the Japanese version. It's a little bit richer, even though I don't really like this kind of plastic. It's kind of a mustard color, but it's better than the US version, that's for sure. And then the paint apps on the Japanese version are just a little bit better, like the silver instead of gray plastic. So he comes out looking a little bit better. I would say that the Mosasaur looks better on the Japanese version, but it's almost a toss-up. They look pretty similar. There's not much difference going on. So overall, I'm actually really happy with this US version, and I'm probably going to sell this custom that I made. So I kind of pointlessly made this thing because I think this turned out really good. And I'm really pleased with Hasbro. I got the Beast Morphers, and those figures were terrible. So I'm actually really happy that they stepped up the quality and things have really improved on these Megazords. I think this was just really good engineering all around. Yeah, so that pretty much covers it. I think these figures, well, this one anyway, is highly underrated. Like for the price, if this was $50 and they increased the quality, this would hands down be a winner. But at $26, this is a pretty unbeatable robot. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Let me know what you think.